Alright, so what I'm going to show you here is how to save your chargers. A lot of people buy the generic chargers and they don't last very long. They tend to start falling apart, which does happen with the cheaper chargers. So you can even do this with your Apple ones, but since the Apple ones are indefinitely under warranty, or at least for a year, recommend not really doing much to them. These cheap ones, these ones you can do this too. What you need for this: your charger. I did a 3-foot earlier. I also did a 10-foot. This is another 10-foot that I'm going to do. These 10-foots are pretty thin. Like this one here, I bought off eBay. I think it was like $6. It won't charge an iPad. It'll charge an iPhone. It just, the chip in the iPad won't allow it because of the wattage that this is putting out. You'll also need what's called shrink tubing. This is the key right here. I bought a thing off eBay which was like a bag of all different sizes. It was a couple dollars, no big deal. What you'll need is, I liked the different sizes because of the fact that with these cables, your heads are going to be different size than your actual cable itself. So this gives you the ability to kind of step down to help out with that. So what you need, what I'm using here on this, just kind of experimenting, the yellow ones actually fit the generic cables or actual Apple cables, but the generic cables like this, it does not fit on. The head of the into the phone portion here is too wide. So these will get on there, but then they won't go past the head. So what I'm using is actually the red ones, which, to be honest, I don't know what the diameter is, but it is pretty close to the size of the charger here. And these do shrink to half their size, so that's the upside there. Ultimately, I am using these green ones. These green ones here are a little bit wider than the red ones, as you can see. And these are going to be for the other part, the part that plugs into the wall. So I'm going to run this through here. This is a long cord to run it through on. Basically, keep in mind as well when you do this, yes, you could do your entire cable if you wanted to. This shrink tubing, when you shrink it, gets hard. So when it gets hard, it does not bend. You'll see on this one, and this was kind of a junk up job, but on this one I did, it's actually hard. It's really hard to bend, which is good for this cable, but you get it too long and then your cord's not bending. You probably put your phone straight up in the air and charge it. Don't recommend trying that, just saying, it's possible. There's a possibility that could be something that happens. Alright, so you're going to string it all the way through here to the other end, and then all you're going to do is you're going to feed it up onto this one. Now this green one actually barely fits on here, so it's kind of, have to work it a little bit to get it to fit. This was easier when I wasn't recording it, I swear. There we go. Alright. I only push it up a little ways on there. It doesn't have to go up very far. The other part of this is that you don't have to do this one very long. It's entirely up to you as far as how long you want to do it. Just careful not to cut your cord. You could pre-cut these if you want to. I just like having it longer because it gives me more distance to actually push it up onto the head there. There we go. Alright, so you need something like that. The head, it ends right there, so it gives you about a quarter, just over a quarter-inch there over onto the port. And the only other thing you need here is a lighter. I smoke, so this makes this rather easy. If you don't, you might want to go get one. Don't let it sit too long. You will notice there's like a black residue that builds up. That's okay. It actually rubs off. It doesn't stay on there. Alright, so that portion is on there. Keep in mind it's really hot. It's hot rubber, so don't touch it. If you can avoid it, I already burned my finger once. I know better and I still touched it, so let's see. Alright, so now that we have that piece on there, what we're going to do is we're going to use a red piece. This one's slightly smaller than the green one. Just going to feed this one on and run this one to the other end. Doesn't take so long on a 3-foot cable, but on a 10-foot cable it takes a minute. Alright, so we've run it over to the side. We're going to feed it up onto and up tight against the head there. Not up on top because it won't fit, but it gives you up onto the top. And then just going to heat it up. It also is sticky, so you can, in theory, cut them a little bit and kind of splice them together if you want to try to work itself up on the other one, but it's a lot of work, so not really worth it to me. Alright, that's about the extent of that end. That end has to dry. It's best to leave it hanging so that it dries straight. You want to dry it at a curve, by all means go for it. You know, if you plug into a really tight cubby or something and you want to keep an angle on it, then go for it. The other end here, still can't get the yellow ones to fit, so I almost did, but you'll see on this one here I got it to fit, but I had to cut it to get it to fit and then kind of splice it. You'll see actually right here I cut it all the way up and then I had to splice it back together. You lose some integrity on the shrink tubing when you do that, so best to avoid it if you can. So all I'm going to do here, and on this one, just cut this one a little short here. You need about a 1/2 inch of it, really is all you need on the first part here on both ends. And all it does is putting it halfway up on the head like that is that you're getting the integrity. It builds solid on the head and the cable, so the actual cord connection doesn't bend. And that's kind of key on this, because that's where a lot of these cables, in my experience, are failing. And you're just going to heat it up, let it shrink. Yes, it's black. Use a damp cloth to rub it off if you want to. Don't use a wet one. Slightly damp is fine. You can also use your finger. It does literally rub off. So let's see. Last piece here is going to be slipping on the remainder of the orange that we cut. And what I'm going to do is right on the edge of the head there, so it's still attached to the head. I'm going to put this one into it here. So this cable does not want to stay straight, which isn't helping. I just had it stored for a while. See if we can get it to straighten up and act right. There we go. Okay. You can, for a minute or two, if you want to flex these and get them straight the way you want them, they are still soft, so you can kind of bend them into shape. Alright, and just keep in mind too, don't let this sit too long. The lighter, don't let it hover over any one area too long. It will melt the cable, and you don't want to do that. Because then your cable's not going to work. Alright, well that one's hanging and drying there. This one's done, and it's hard. Yeah, see, it did hang at a little bit of an angle, so it is a little, but that's fine. It literally, see, I put it in, it stands up and down. And great little way to protect your devices. Yeah, that's not shrunk all the way. If you do find it's loose, you can always grab another one and slide it over the top and do it again. It'll tighten down a little better that way. But there you go. That's one way to prolong the length of your cable life.